Okay, here we go. I first met Todd Buckley in sixth grade. He was in my homeroom class, Mrs. Milligan's class, at Nina Carristown Junior High. My first interaction with him, I believe, it's been 46 years ago or so. I think we were in the lunch line, and I think he was imitating a skit that had happened, like maybe on the Sonny and Cher show or something like that the night before. It was funny, and that's the start. That's what I remember, vaguely. And I really don't know how we became friends, but I'm glad we did. It wasn't no time at all before we were, spending time with each other at each other's houses and things that kids in junior high do. Um, Todd used to wear a kind of reddish orange stocking cap, even in the summer. And he had longer blonde hair that would kind of curl up around the bottom of the stocking cap. I thought it was a pretty cool look. I may have even tried it for a while, but and you know they called him Todd, but that was his middle name. His full name was Christopher Todd Buckley, and I thought that was kind of unique too. So there were two things that kind of stood out right off the bat. I think we both had a passion for music early on. My first memory, I think, was a junior high dance, and I think he brought a 45 of Crimson and Clover. That's the first song I can remember him liking. I'd played guitar for about a year. Um, he eventually, shortly after that, had got a set of drums. His mom, Gwen, and his dad, Terry, got him a set of drums. I don't remember where they came from. They were yellow Rogers set. I remember her making him promise not to ever play him in a bar. Uh, I think she knew she was wise. She knew what that stuff could end up, being. But anyway, we started playing music together. Now he didn't have any cymbals um, at first, and we were upstairs in his attic, at their house on Lockhart Street. And I had a crappy little guitar and amplifier, and he had a set of drums with no cymbals. So it was just like boom, 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 kind of tribal stuff. Who knows what I was playing, Wipeout or something like that. But and it was hot up there in that attic. But we had a lot of fun. But what had happened is we had the attic windows open, and we took a break and went outside, and Leanne Markwell was coming down the street, and she said, "Was that music coming from that window?" She's like, "Was that you guys?" And we kind of puffed our chests out and said, "Yeah, that was us." And she said, "That sounded terrible." that was our that was our start right there. It's a good thing we didn't give up. Not too awful long after that, Chris Brodnicki had got a bass guitar. I had got a new guitar and a new amplifier. Uh, and this amplifier that I had, we could run all three of our instruments into it. So we had guitar, bass, and vocals all running through the same amp. Um, and Todd's folks actually let us practice in their living room. I don't know how they stood it, but and Todd found some cymbals from somewhere. I don't know if he bought them or probably borrowed them from the school. We were good at that kind of stuff. But yeah, Todd did most of the singing. I really couldn't sing and play at the same time very well. Plus, Todd could sing and he could scream like Ted Nugent, and that's pretty much all we played was kissing Ted Nugent. we were kissing Ted Nugent cover band, but that was some of the funnest times of my life right there, and people seem to like it. So um, there's more to me and Todd's relationship than in music, and I'll get into that here shortly. But me and Todd and Chris playing music together, that was the XYZ band, and that's how that came about. Well, me and Todd continued to hang out, and grow up, between junior high and high school. We had a lot of mutual friends that we still have to this day. Um, Todd had a lot better social skills than I did. He was funnier, so I mean, it was kind of good to tag along and ride his coattails. When it come to meeting people, girls especially. He always had more girlfriends than me. It seemed like, but I was just some people just got that. I mean, everyone that met him liked him. We did this stuff normal kids that growing up did. We tried to get by with stuff, and sometimes we did, and sometimes we got caught. It was almost like we had two sets of parents. I spent a lot of time at his house, and he spent a lot of time at mine. So it was basically my folks and his folks, kind of raised us both. But I think we turned out all right. Made it out of high school. Kept playing music when we could. I ended up taking a full time job at Kay's Merchandise in the warehouse. Todd went to Eastern. Took him a few years to graduate from there, but he finally made it out. And he did some videos with Steve Turner while he was down there that we still show people to this day. And those videos of us playing, um, are a treasure to me, to watch because we really thought we were something back in the 80s. But yeah, we just we kept in contact. And a lot of people after high school, kind of lose it, but we never did. I think we were kind of in it for the long haul. So, over the next, 10 years after high school, we continued to get older, and we got married. We had kids. We continued to make that Christmas tape with Daryl Smothers. So, me, Todd, and Daryl, always kept in touch really, really well. I think it was sometime shortly after Todd's son Dan was born that he moved to Indiana. That made it a little bit more difficult, but we spent a lot of phone time together, and I kind of want to tell you a little bit about that, and to this day how we interacted on the phone. We didn't have your standard greetings. He would call. And I'd answer the phone. I'd say hello, and he'd be like, "All right," and I'd say, "All right," and he'd say, "You know it," and then the conversation would start. You could almost count on that, most of the time. Now, sometimes there wouldn't be a greeting at all. He'd call me, and I'd answer the phone. I'd be like, "Hello," and he would just start in with the conversation. I want to know, blah 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 blah, and then we would go on from there. And we talked about everything. I taught him, how to play some lead guitar licks over the phone. But we had a lot of conversations about dreams. And when I say dreams, I don't, mean goals or aspirations as much as I meant, I had a weird dream last night. What do you think about this? So Todd had a unique way of telling me his dreams, and after a couple times I got onto it real quick, and I kind of enjoyed it. He wouldn't tell you it was a dream. He would just start telling this story, which would usually start out okay, but then get kind of bizarre, and you'd be thinking to yourself, well, how in the hell did this ever happen? And it would get weirder and weirder, and then finally at the end he would say, and that was my dream. So uh, I'll never forget that. I mean, up until just a few weeks ago, he had a dream about me that he shared on Facebook or on my messenger or whatever, and it was kind of bizarre. But yeah, we talked a lot about that stuff. I mean, you got to have a friend like that. You can't, your deep dark secrets, your views on stuff. It's good to have parents. I'm glad that I could run stuff by my mom and dad, but the stuff I couldn't run by them, I ran by Todd, and I think it's vice versa. In the '90s, Todd spent a lot of money on recording equipment. I mean, that dream for him and me both was still alive. He wrote some good rock and roll riff oriented songs. He also would do mellow acoustic guitar type stuff, but the rock stuff that he created um, in the back of his water softener business in a little studio he created, that stuff was fun. I mean, he learned how to program drum machines and computer software and everything, and I mean, it made it sound like the real deal. I mean, it was an excellent soundscape for me just to come in and lay down guitar tracks off the songs he'd already written. And it made the Christmas parody songs that we did with Daryl, you know, sound more polished and produced too. We gave those tapes and CDs out to a lot of people over the years. Um, but I was always impressed. I mean, if you hear any of our stuff that has drums or horns or keyboards in it, that's all Todd. You know, basically when me and Daryl arrived there, all we had to do was attempt to sing and play guitar. But everything else that sounded like music, that's all Todd Buckley. I got a lot of encouragement from Todd over the years. I worked the same job, in the warehouse for 25 years until the store chain closed down. I had to find another job. Got on a Caterpillar, which was a totally different world for me. Being middle aged, it's a little bit harder to learn new things. But he told me that he knew it was a big step, and he thought it was cool that I was actually doing something else and that it was working out. I think what he said was, you're my hero, and that really made me feel good. He was that way with a lot of people. Even on Facebook, if he saw that you did something good, he would he would note that. He would let you know. Um, as far as another thing that recently, Chris Brodnicki had allowed me to get on stage with the blues guitar player named Joanna Connor at Central Park in Decatur. Steve Turner filmed it, and my performance was good, and the video that Steve made was good. And when Todd saw that video, I think he tried one last ditch effort to convince me, hey, you can do this stuff. You got 10 or 15 years to be somebody's guitar player. Of course I'm there's other factors that prevent that, but just knowing that Todd thought I should still pursue the music thing after all these years was really an inspiration. Todd was often misunderstood on social media, namely Facebook. Um, a lot of people copy and paste and share stuff without, just jumping on the latest bandwagon rather than doing their research. And if Todd disagreed with you, he would make you defend your position. Um, a lot of people don't like that. So And plus, just, my opinion, text in general, looks kind of cold. So, Todd could appear harsh, on Facebook, and then I think that gave a lot of people, the wrong impression. But he would make you think, and he would do his research, and he would, you know, call you out. But I mean, that's that's fine. You need someone to, stand back and say, hey, that's not true, and why did you say this? A lot of people, they just want to post and go on, but Todd will make you think. He was an excellent blogger too. I mean, some of the stuff that he writes is really interesting and creative, and I think that started back, in publications class with Mrs. Waller, in our junior year or whatever. He was always liked to write articles and stuff like that, and he's good at it. I see the same kind of style and interesting stuff from his son. When I look at some of his Facebook posts, I mean they've got similar styles, which I think's a pretty cool thing. Todd and I shared a lot of guitars over the years. About a year ago, he gave me his Fender Telecaster, which he bought at new in about '83. Um, he gave it to me. I've actually had it before. I did some modifications to it that I told him I thought he should have. He's like, go ahead and go for it. So of course it's non-original, but it's a good playing guitar. He figured that's the one I wanted, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. So I've had it for about a year. Anyway, um, February the 12th, just a few days ago, uh, Gibson was having an employee sale on guitars. Todd's been wanting the J200 Gibson Jumbo for a long time. Then there were a couple of them there, and I found one that had the strings off and the pick guard was off of it. So I thought, well, maybe there's something here. So I strung it up, set it up, and it was the most beautiful sounding guitar I ever heard. I thought, I gotta get this for Todd. Price was right, so I was just gonna out and out buy it for him. He gave me a guitar, I'm gonna give him a guitar. So I called him. Of course, I got voicemail, but then he called me back. Uh, February the 12th, 11:22. Now, we texted earlier, and he said he'd had the flu. But when I was talking to him, I said, gosh, your voice sounds terrible. And it did. He didn't sound good at all. But I told him the guitar story, and I said, there's one that I'm going to try to get, if I can get to it first. I said, if I don't, there's a couple other ones. This one's natural finish, but there's a black one I can get. And I said, do you want any other guitar if I can get it? And the last thing he said was, I'll take a jumbo. And that was our last conversation. I said, well, you better get well. And he said, okay, and laughed a little bit. That phone call was on February 12th. It lasted 3 minutes and 13 seconds at 11:22 a.m. So, I may have been one of the last people to talk to him, which is, I consider a blessing. I spoke earlier about the dreams that we shared between each other. I'd have a recurring dream that I didn't understand, and he would have some too. But one of Todd's dreams that I recall was a jumping dream, where he would take a couple steps and be able to jump way high in the air and kind of float there for a while, and then land softly, take a couple more steps, and jump way up. And that kind of stuck with me. So in order for my brain to kind of wrap around how he made it into heaven, I think he jumped. So I'll see you soon, my friend.